McCall tries to help a despondent college student being threatened by someone who is working for a rising politician. Hello, everybody. I'm Steve from VALHARTV, and today I'll be reviewing the Equalizer episode 6. So this episode starts out with a college girl named Maya trying to run into a brick wall. And then she doesn't go through with it. She's really to the point where she's wanting to self-delete because there's an issue bothering her, and she ends up going home right after this. And her father ends up reaching out to Robin on her message board, and Robin meets with him like the next day, and she finds out that Maya came home one day from her like college and her internship and everything, and never left. And something's been really bothering her, and he even overheard a phone conversation that seemed like it was kind of threatening. So Robin tries to talk to Maya, but she's not willing to talk. So Robin ends up leaving, but Robin knows something's wrong, with her because of all these telltale signs that somebody's hiding something. And so she ends up having like Harry and Melody look into Maya's phone calls and messages, and she goes and ends up talking to her roommate at college, who points her into the direction of a jock who was sending the threatening messages. So she goes and talks to the jock, and we find out the jock is a lazy guy. He was having Maya write papers for him because he didn't want to lose his eligibility to play sports because he was going to miss a deadline for a paper. So I was like, it's not a typical jock anymore. I mean, it happens, but it's very rare, and they crack down on this type of stuff now. And he ends up finding out that she didn't want any money for the paper. She wanted pills. So, of course, Robin rushes over to the house and ends up calling 911 because Maya overdosed. And Maya's still not, when she's better in the hospital and she's in the hospital, she still doesn't want to talk. So Robin has to call up Detective Dannett and work with him throughout the rest of the episode to try to find like these other victims and stuff, because she does find out that the woman who's running for mayor of New York, her name is Keller. They find out she went to another a person's home and ended up talking to her, and they find out she was a victim of a man named Elijah raping her. And so they start to piece things together as they go along, and Detective Dante knows that there's a case from, before with a dirty cop, who turned private detective and was working for Elijah to strong-arm women into signing NDAs and taking settlements. Because we do end up learning that there were quite a few victims of him doing this to them. And it's a very, very serious issue, and very unfortunate that, that happens nowadays. But it's not just to women. It doesn't matter what gender you are, and it doesn't matter what sexuality you are. Things like this have happened for years, and people were too afraid to come forward. And we see that in this episode, there are 2 women who do come forward because they do want justice, and that's what we really need more of. And we do find out that Keller was one of Elijah's victims 20 years prior to that. So she was like one of the first women that he did this to, and then gave a settlement to and signed an NDA, and she ends up coming forward at the end of the episode. So throughout all this detective work that they do, which is what I did like about this episode, it was good old-fashioned detective work. They literally followed the breadcrumbs to more facts, and they started piecing things together, and they got one victim to come forward to another one, and then that just cascaded into multiple victims coming forward, including Keller on national television. So this was, after that, taken very seriously, and even one of the victims says that she was too afraid to come forward, and when she did, the police didn't believe her. And I think, and she even mentions the Me Too movement, and I think with the Me Too movement, this has been you know, this has been addressed a little more. You know, things like this are being taken a lot more seriously. And that's where we end the episode. There were no practical effects in this. There were no fight scenes. This was good old-fashioned detective work, which is what I actually liked about the episode. The acting still isn't very good, but this episode, it was up to okay. They didn't really do anything other than detective work and try to find facts. And this episode was all about how no one believes women when they come forward with their, you know, with this issue, you know, of being raped, you know, and how like a man in power abuses his position, you know, and I thought it was a little preachy. I mean, we even get to find out that Melody was a victim of this type of thing as well, and they even do talk about a racist cop in this too. So this was, for me, this is a little hard to watch. Especially coming off last week's episode, that wasn't good, but you know, it just seemed a little bit better than this, because this just went back to being another woke episode. I would give this honestly a 3.5 out of 10. It just, to me, it just, you know, I understand with things that are going on with the governor of New York and stuff, but it just, I felt like this kind of was maybe an unnecessary episode. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought about this episode. And please, if you guys like what I do, please hit the like button and also subscribe, as I'll be doing more content each week. Take care for now, everybody.